So I looked up who Sean Grayson's wife was because she kept coming up a lot. Her name is Isabel Butterfield. Yeah. Did y'all look her up? Isabel Butterfield daddy, guess who he is? Isabel Butterfield daddy is Scott Butterfield. Huh? Scott Butterfield used to be a chief deputy of the sheriff department. Guess what Sean work at? Huh? Did you get Sean a job? Inquiring minds want to know. Now, that's not the only crazy thing. I looked up Isabel Butterfield and Sean Grayson, and guess what I found? They just got married October the 19th, 2024. Why? Because this is their registry list. I also found their Target registry list, and I ain't gonna lie, something a little fishy here. We also did a little bit more digging and found out where Isabel Butterfield works. And y'all ain't gonna believe this. I started doing some digging and I realized y'all said that Sonya had on a hospital bracelet. I looked up the closest place where she could have got medical care to her house. An 8-minute drive away. And guess where we ended up at? Capital Community Health Center. And guess who worked there? Isabel Butterfield. Now the reason this got me thinking is because I remember when this cop first walked up to the door, he said,
"You doing all right mentally?"
Yes.
Sure.
My medicine and stuff.
All right.
why would he ask her that just out the clear blue? And another thing that's kind of getting me up here in the mind, and this is just me now, this is nowhere else in TikTok, but I just want y'all to listen and hear me out. I'm thinking from the perspective of calling the police. If I called the police, why wouldn't I be dressed already? Now I know y'all don't know where I'm going with this. Could it be that something happened allegedly between Isabel Butterfield and Sonya Massey at that place, and she left and went home because she didn't even take the bracelet off? When she left and went home, could it possibly be that the police actually, especially Sean Grayson, who I'm talking about, actually caused the situation in the backyard, and then they took the call, which is why she didn't even have a chance to get clothes on? Because if I heard something in the driveway, wouldn't you automatically get dressed and at least try to be prepared just in case they try to come in the house? Wait a minute now. Y'all heard it here first. Something fishy is going on. All I'm saying is that Springfield, Illinois police need to look up the average call time, the average response time in the area, and then look up the response time of how fast Sean Grayson got there. This is really something that's coming together, and I think y'all need to look into this. Okay? So we gonna stay abreast of this, but this is just a theory. This is just a theory. We gonna update y'all as it go, but it seemed fishy to me that she didn't have clothes on and something was going on outside her house. Was it as soon as y'all got the call, y'all took it because y'all were in the area? We gonna find out now. I'm just a messenger.
Alright, you kids get to bed, I get the storybook.
Hot water. Sonya Massey returns to Earth for revenge. Flashback to April 2014. After participating in several mission trips to Indiana through a local church, Williamsville High School senior, Isabel Butterfield told a newspaper reporter who was interviewing her that she was put on Earth to help others, even if that meant making things harder for herself. Isabel Butterfield is a woman of God who met a demon-possessed man almost a decade later, after many failed relationships and the pressures of wanting and needing to be married by age 30 started creeping up on her. Fast forward to the summer of 2024. With her and her fiancé, Deputy Sean Grayson's marriage set for October of that year, the hardest-working nurse in Springfield, Illinois, was of good spirits. Having been a kind-natured, loving spirit all of her life, Isabel was finally going to get married that fall, and the thought had her floating on cloud nine, despite several warnings from God that Sean wasn't the man he had selected for her. Isabel had gotten tired of waiting on God, especially after turning 28, because she was under the belief of some stupid rule that a woman had to be married by age 30. All of her girlfriends had already beat that marker by years, with her being the last in her circle to tie the knot before 30. All of this pressure made it very easy for Isabel to ignore the whispers from God to break up with Sean on several occasions, mainly when he kept switching law enforcement jobs so frequently. When she asked him why he kept getting fired from different police departments, he would always lie to her and claim it was because he aspired to become an FBI agent one day and was feeling out different departments to see which one would be a good fit to get him to the next level. The truth was that he had a ton of complaints filed on him for committing abuse toward citizens in every town he worked in. Sean knew something was the matter with him mentally but couldn't pinpoint it, so he shrugged it off as job stress. The man actually was possessed by 3 of Satan's demons. They had been attached to his soul ever since he had gotten a dishonorable discharge from the army, and they wouldn't leave him. For those of you who aren't spiritual or have never read the Holy Bible, demon possession is kind of tricky. A person doesn't know that a demon is inside of them. It just is. And when it or they start influencing the host to do crazy shit, the person is sometimes confused at why he's doing the evil shit that he's doing, but can't explain why he should stop.
There may be rumors of me breaking up with Travis, but who cares about that? Right now, y'all need to smash the like button and subscribe button for my favorite YouTuber, GK David II. His stories are so crazy. We all know they're not real, but still the best shit on YouTube. They're like mini movies.
On the morning of July 6th, his precious Isabel came home after pulling a double as a registered nurse at a local health center in town. For the first time in their relationship, he noticed that she wasn't herself. She actually had a bad attitude, even towards him, and everyone who knows sweet Isabel knows she isn't even capable of having a negative attitude, especially not less than 90 days away from the big day. After spending an hour coaxing it out of her, Sean discovered that on that particular morning, Isabel had to do her second shift in the hospital's mental health unit due to the regular nurse having a family emergency. This was her first time working in this area. She felt a slight unease as she walked through the hospital's sterile hallways. The air was heavy with the scent of disinfectant, mingling with the faint aroma of the coffee she carried. She couldn't quite place why she felt this way, but she brushed it off, focusing on the tasks ahead. She knew that in her line of work, every day brought new challenges, but the stories she'd heard about the patients over there were not good. As she reviewed her patient list for the night, she noticed a name she'd heard of before: Sonya Massey. She had been admitted the previous night after a severe mental episode. The notes indicated she was volatile and had a history of aggression when off of her meds. Isabel sighed, steeling herself for what could be a difficult shift. She approached Sonia's room, hearing the sounds of the television blaring through the door. She knocked gently before entering. "Good morning, Miss Massey. I'm Nurse Butterfield, and I'll be taking care of you today." Sonya, a 36-year-old African-American woman with disheveled hair and a hollow look in her eyes, due to lack of sleep, barely glanced at her. "What you want, lady?" she muttered under her breath. Isabel kept her tone gentle and calm. "How are you feeling this morning? Is there anything I can get for you?" Sonya turned to face her, her eyes narrowing. "Yeah, you can get me out of this place. You people are useless. Do you even know what you're doing?" Isabel remained unfazed, her expression softening with understanding. "I know it's hard, Miss Massey. We're here to help you feel better. If you need anything or just want to talk, I'm here." As the morning progressed, Isabel attended to her other patients but kept a close eye on Sonya. She knew her type well. Patients like her often lashed out because they felt scared and powerless. It was crucial to approach them with patience and empathy. Around mid-morning, she returned to Sonia's room to check her vitals. As she entered, she noticed she was more agitated than before. Her hands trembled and her eyes darted around the room. "Miss Massey, I'm here to take your blood pressure. Is that okay?" she asked, approaching her slowly. Sonya snapped her head toward her, her face contorted with anger. "Why don't you just leave me the fuck alone? I don't need your help. You're just a stupid nurse. You don't know about what I'm going through?" Isabel felt the sting of her words, but remained composed. "I understand you're upset, but we're here to make sure you're safe and well. Please, let me help." Sonia's face grew redder. "Help? You think you're helping me? You're just a puppet doing what you're told. You don't care about me. You just care about that nurse check you get every 2 weeks." The verbal assault continued, with Sonya hurling insults and accusations at Isabel. She stood her ground, her heart aching not for herself, but for the pain and confusion she saw in Sonia's eyes. The outburst escalated, and Isabel knew she needed to de-escalate the situation. She took a step back, giving Sonya some space. "Miss Massey, I can see you're really upset right now. I'm going to step outside for a moment to give you some time to calm down." As she turned to leave, Sonya screamed, "Get the fuck out! Get out of my sight, you stupid bitch!" The door closed behind her and Isabel leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath. The hallway was empty, offering a moment of solitude. She felt the tears welling up but blinked them back, refusing to let them fall. She knew this was not about her. It was about her patient's struggle being off of her meds for a period of time. Isabel walked to the nurse's station, her colleague Rebecca noticing her distressed expression. "Isabel, are you okay?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. Isabel nodded, taking a sip of her warm decaf. "Yeah, just had a rough interaction with a patient." Rebecca placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "It's not easy, I know. Do you want to talk about it?" Isabel shook her head. "Not right now, I just need a moment." Taking a few minutes to collect herself, Isabel reflected on the encounter. She knew that working in the psychiatric ward meant facing such challenges, but it didn't make it any easier. However, she also knew that her role was crucial. Patients like Sonya needed compassion and patience, even when they lashed out. After composing herself, Isabel decided to return to Sonya's room. She knew that showing consistency and care was vital in gaining his trust. She knocked on the door and entered, her demeanor calm and professional. Sonya was sitting on the edge of her bed, getting dressed to leave. She looked up as she entered, a mix of anger and regret in her eyes. "Miss Massey, I'm back," Isabel said softly. "I know you're going through a lot, and I want to help. Can we start over?" Sonya looked at her for a long moment before standing up and grabbing her by her scrubs, telling her that she had a message to give her from God Almighty. "Lady, I ain't never seen you before in my life, but I do know that you finna get married soon, and God wants you to know that if you try to marry whoever it is you finna marry soon, then something bad is going to happen to you." These words brought out a side in Isabel that she didn't know was in her. She became so enraged with the woman standing before her that she pushed her off of her, as if ready for a fade, even though she had never been in a fistfight in her entire 28 years. Isabel calmed herself down enough to get out of the room before she did something to cause her to either get her ass kicked or get fired. Sonya had touched a part of her soul with what she said that ruffled her feathers more than an F5 tornado could. She was finally getting married, and this woman came here claiming she has a message from God saying she had better not. In her mind, the only way she wasn't getting hitched was if she or Sean died before October arrived. Not wanting to even lay eyes on the patient for the 2 hours left in her shift, she immediately signed papers for her to be discharged, not even caring if she took the fresh prescription of meds given to her before she left. The details of the encounter pissed Sean off. Without Isabel in his life, he would have killed someone a long time ago. She was the only thing keeping him as level-headed as a demon-possessed bigot could be. Anyone trying to come in between that had to pay, and so when asked for the name and other information on the woman at the hospital, Isabel reluctantly provided it to him, knowing that she shouldn't be doing so, but still a little incensed at the incident. Later that same day, around 4 p.m., as Isabel continued to catch up on her sleep, her evil fiancé, Sean Grayson, reported for duty at the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office in Springfield. After Isabel filled him in on what happened to her, the 3 demons in his body began filling his thoughts with coming up with a plan to get the bitch back that upset his soon-to-be bride. Satan's angels actually wanted him to kill the woman, but he couldn't think of a way to do it without getting away clean until one of the demons placed it in his pea-brain to go to the woman's house after it got dark and make it look like she had someone prowling on her property. And if she called 911 for the cops, he would be in the area and be the closest officer to respond, which then he would go and see if he could get the bitch back for what she said to Isabel that morning. Several hours later, Sonya Massey was relaxing on her sofa watching some show on BT when she heard the windows being smashed on her car outside, followed by the sound of her she-shed's door being damaged. Alone at the time, the 130-pound woman did what any single female would have done and called for the police. I'm sure you've seen the body cam footage several times by now, so I'll skip ahead to the moment she uttered the words, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." When that demon-possessed piece of shit heard those words, his mind almost exploded, or actually the 3 demons inside of him did. In the Holy Bible's book of Matthew, chapter 8, verses 28 through 29, it reads, "And he, Jesus, having come to the other side, to the country of the Gadarenes, 2 men being demon-possessed met him, coming out of the tombs. They were very violent, so that no one was strong enough to pass through that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, 'What do we have to do with you, Son of God? Did you come here to torment us before the time?' You see, all demons know that God has set an appointed time for them to burn in hell, and this is what the demons in the Bible were referring to. A few weeks after this happened on July 6th, the body cam footage was released to the world, and Sean Grayson was charged with 3 counts of murder as well as other charges. He was being held without bail in the Sangamon County Jail's protective custody wing for his safety. Back on July 6th, as soon as the multiple rounds from the officer's service weapons entered Sonya's body.
Quick commercial break, and please stop looking at my ass, cause you ain't getting none.
What up, y'all? It's your favorite unk, week 100 from the Pyru podcast here on GK David Stories. I don't know how long y'all had y'all Crocs, but if they old, then you need to hop on Amazon and get these fresh ones. These Crocs classic clogs are not only the most comfortable shoes for women and men, but also easy to clean, just using soap and water and allowing for a quick dry. They're lightweight and fun with ventilation ports, add breathability that helps shed water and debris quickly. What size should you buy? These men's and women's Crocs offer a roomy fit, and we recommend ordering a size down to the next largest whole size. Designed to fit, these slip-on clogs are easy to take on and off while being extremely durable. They even offer pivoting heel straps for a more secure fit. Hit that link in the description and grab a pair now.
Her spirit immediately left Earth and went straight up into the arms of Jesus Christ, who was chilling in heaven. "They just shot me, Lord," she shouted hysterically, knowing that she was in heaven but still feeling like she was ducking from the shots in her kitchen. Jesus consoled her and explained what happened and that she was safe now, even showing her scenes of all of the viral social media clips the incident had garnered since the body camera footage release. Sonya was sad when she saw the news interviews with her son, dad, and other family members, but knew she would never want to go back down to earth after experiencing what it was like up in heaven, though she wished she could bring her family up here instead. A few weeks into her first month in the kingdom, Jesus came to her and told her that he was trying something new and wanted to know if she wanted to return to earth and avenge her death. Sonya hesitated at first, wondering if it was a trick of some sort because she didn't want to leave heaven for anything, especially not to go back to a corrupt place where evil was everywhere. Jesus comforted her and assured her that she definitely would be coming back up because she would be in spirit form, as he is now, so she couldn't just roam the earth as she did when she had a human body anyway. Sonya brightened up after this, and after some training by a few of the angels who taught her how to harness her spiritual energy, she was cast back onto Earth with a mission of retribution in the makings. Back on Earth, former Deputy Grayson was struggling to adapt to life in his protective custody one-man cell. The isolation and guilt weighed heavily on him. One night, as he lay in his bunk in the wee hours of the night, he heard a whisper, "Sean." He bolted upright, his heart pounding. "Who's there?" The voice was familiar yet ethereal. "You evil bastard, it's me, Sonya, the crazy bitch you murdered." Panic set in as Grayson saw a faint, glowing figure at the edge of his cell. Sonya's spirit had returned, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and determination. "You can't escape what you did." Sean tried to dismiss it as a hallucination, but Sonya's presence grew stronger. She appeared to him every night for 3 days straight, her words haunting his dreams and waking moments. Sonya's ghostly visits intensified, driving Sean to the brink of insanity. She would appear in his cell, whispering reminders of his crime, making objects move, and causing unexplained phenomena. The guards and other inmates noticed his erratic behavior, suspecting he was losing his mind because the only human that could hear or see Sonya was him. Sean's mental state deteriorated rapidly. He was tormented by visions of Sonya, her bullet-riddled face a constant reminder of his guilt. He could no longer sleep, eat, or think clearly. The once confident officer was reduced to a shell of his former self, having dropped down from 232 pounds to 197 since the ghost of Sonya's visits. The breaking point came when Sean, in a fit of desperation, confessed to the murder. He screamed about seeing Sonya's ghost, begging for it to stop. His confession was recorded by the surveillance camera that every cell is furnished with for safety concerns and immediately sparked further investigation. The truth about the night of Sonya's death was revealed in court. Daniel's confession, combined with the mounting evidence, led to his conviction. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. A few months after his sentencing, Grayson was transferred to the maximum security prison in Crest Hill called Statesville Correctional Facility. It didn't take long before sneaky black guards intentionally placed him in a dorm filled with a bunch of gangster disciples, as well as other gang members who remembered who he was and caught him when he went to take his first shower. After 7 or 8 of the booty-loving thugs emptied their twin sacks of their man mayonnaise all between his cheeks, and over his face, one of them pulled out a jagged ice pick style candy bar and started removing the racist skull tattoo on his forearm that represented some kind of white supremacy group. After they finished with him, Sean had to be life-flighted to an outside hospital because the prison infirmary didn't have an ICU ward. It took surgeons 16 hours to reconstruct the ex-cop's asshole, and he had to embarrassingly poop in a bag for the rest of that year until his hole healed up properly. Sonya's family and community finally felt justice was served when they heard of what happened to the monster up in the prison. The trial brought to light the systemic issues within the police force and prompted calls for reform, but the news of Grayson getting graped was icing on the cake. While no punishment could bring Sonya back, there was a sense of closure and a renewed hope for change. After his jail confession, Sonya's spirit returned to heaven, her mission accomplished. She was at peace, knowing that her death had not been in vain. Her story became a symbol of the fight for justice, inspiring others to continue the struggle against injustice and inequality. The community honored Sonya's memory, remembering her as a loving mother, a dedicated friend, and a beacon of hope. Her life and death left an indelible mark, reminding everyone that the pursuit of justice is a cause worth fighting for.